Broadcasters Association in this station.
1015 FM KDAWN.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the #1 professional wrestling radio show in Las Vegas. This is the Mark Hoke Show. The Mark Hoke Show. Going bell to bell with the best in professional wrestling news, entertainment, and lots of Sin City surprises from inside the squared circle. Now, let's get to all the exciting pro wrestling action and bring on the host. Here is Mark Hoke.
Good morning, Las Vegas. What's going on? Welcome to the Mark Hoke Show here on KDAWN 1015 FM, the talk of Las Vegas. For those of you worldwide streaming on the Odyssey app, very happy to have you with us there as well. And of course, we're also live streaming this bad boy on YouTube and Facebook. Happy to have you joining us there as well, so you can see my smiling face. And I'm going to bring in the other smiling face as soon as he's done taking his sip. Probably booze. I don't know. I would think that's a good idea. No booze.
Come on, man.
Bresler doing
cold brew.
Cold brew.
Look at the tint. Come on.
That looks like it could be some sort of lighter Guinnessy beverage.
It also could be flat Diet Pepsi, but it is in fact cold brew coffee. Good morning, Las Vegas. Good morning, Mark.
Good morning, Reuben Bresler. Very happy to have you joining us, sir. Welcome.
It's good to be back. I'm glad to be invited. I'm always happy to be on the show.
Well, happy to have you there. So, of course, the best in pro wrestling news and entertainment, and it is a NXT battlegroundy day here in Las Vegas. We got a crazy day in Vegas, man.
Tell me about it. So what is happening today?
Well, I don't know what's more important. Donald Trump is here, and we've got NXT Battleground. So, well, I mean, in the scope of things, I would suppose the president visiting.
Right. I think that in the scope of things, the Donald Trump being there is bigger news. But for the purposes of this show, Battleground is in less than 9 hours.
It is right down the street, and I'm looking forward to going. I want to thank WWE for their kindness as to giving me a ticket, because those tickets are, they're not cheap. But it's going to be down at the UFC Apex. Just look, there's still a couple left, not many. They actually opened up a suite in there, so you can still get in there if you want to go. So go to Access Tickets or access.com and get your ticket right now. And you can see this card. And Reuben, it's going to be a pretty interesting card. This is going to be a fun night tonight, to say the least.
I'm looking at this card, and it actually that's a pretty stacked NXT card. I haven't really paid close attention to NXT in a long time, but you have the NXT champion, you have the NXT women's champion, you have the TNA Knockouts champion taking on the NXT women's champion. You've got a bunch of belts on. Every single belt is on the line. No, not every single one, but you got five on the line. So that's a big deal.
Yeah, we've got a new women's championship being installed in there, a secondary women's title. I brought that to Shawn Michaels when I had him on the show, I got to interview him, and that is a huge deal because you don't even have a secondary women's title on the main rosters.
Yeah.
So
they've been threatening to do that for a little while. I think that it's long overdue. We've got secondary men's titles. I think that it's important to have secondary women's titles too.
Yeah, I'd love to see a women's intercontinental championship
for sure.
That would be fantastic. So, but we're going to get a North American title, and that'll be crowned tonight in NXT. And honestly, I think the women are really taking center stage on this one with a historic crossover match coming up tonight. You don't see these. I mentioned it last week that these cross promotional matches with a champion versus champion, whether it's a unification possibility or just champ versus champ, they don't happen very much. And it's been a long time that I can remember a champ versus champ match going down, especially with WWE. So this is a historic occasion with Jordynne Grace getting this opportunity to take on Roxanne Perez. I don't know if she's going to win it tonight, but this is going to be a very entertaining match, to say the least.
For sure. Yeah. I'm very excited by that. I mean, Jordan Grace had a big impact on the WWE brass with her appearance at the Royal Rumble. And I think that this is a really big deal for not only for NXT and TNA, but for wrestling in general. I think that it shows this would have never happened under the previous administration.
No.
It was always an us versus them kind of attitude. And under Triple H, under Hunter, it's been a lot more of like a rising tide raises all boats situation, which it kind of has always been, but it's nice to see it play out. And I think that that's going to be very exciting.
Yeah. So this is going to be a pretty wild card tonight, and just some of the other matches on the card this evening as I go to my notes. So we've got that 6-way ladder match for the Women's North American Championship. I'm leaning towards Sol Ruca to win that one, but anybody's ball game there. Obafemi, and if you haven't seen this guy, I can't wait to see him live. I've never seen him live before. This man's a monster, and he's the current North American champion. He's got Wesley and Joe Coffey. This underground match is going to be fun. Of course, it kind of ties in the UFC theme. Of course, the TKO banner now with both those companies under it. But you get Shayna Baszler and Lola Vice, both former cage fighters, in this match. So that should be a lot of fun. And we talked about Roxanne and Jordan. Nathan Frazier and Axiom will be flying all over the places. They get the OC. So Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson going to try and pick up some gold down in NXT. That's pretty interesting. And then Trick Williams gets Ethan Page, who showed up out of nowhere. Oh, everybody's moving around all over the place. And Ethan Page, who I think the world of the guy, just a terrific professional, but he's going to get a shot at Trick tonight. So that should be a fun match as well. So a pretty good card coming up from the UFC Apex. Oh man, I can't wait. I drive by there almost every day. So this is going to be fun to finally get to go into the building. I can't wait.
Well, I mean, Vegas is the center of Vegas is deceptively small. For those of you who haven't been to Vegas, a bunch of people live there, but it's mostly suburbs. It's mostly spread out. And the center of Vegas, the downtown and the strip and the sort of business centers are all really close together. And so you kind of drive past it all if you go anywhere in any of those sort of centers. So it's and it's also super flat, so you can see everything in the valley. I remember driving past it as well. Really exciting to have WWE events crossing over with the UFC infrastructure that's there already, leaning into that with that Shayna Baszler match. I think that that's a very exciting card. I love what they're doing with NXT. I think that it is good to have a lot of crossover between the brands. I think that NXT has sort of struggled to have an identity in recent memory, but it hasn't in the last year or so to be a place to springboard, as well as a soft landing spot, as well as a crossover. There's a lot of cool stuff happening on the third show.
Yeah. Thank God they got rid of the splotchy stuff.
Right. Yeah.
The NXT 2.0 splotch was
yeah, it wasn't
I don't
great.
think they enjoyed that. But one thing that I do like about NXT too, and I wish I had more time to ask Sean about this, because I can only imagine how happy he was that now they are being very consistent with when they are bringing somebody up off the NXT roster, they don't become somebody different. They're maintaining that character from NXT up into the main roster. So you don't have to relearn this person, and this person doesn't have to change their personality in any way. They are who they are. Carmelo Hayes is Carmelo Hayes when he comes up. He didn't have to become Stevie Wonder or somebody like that. The only change I can think of recently was a good change when they changed the amusement theme park ride, the Viking Experience, into the Viking Raiders, which was a strict upgrade. Well, but they did change them when they came up to the main roster, though.
That's what I'm saying. They did a strict upgrade on that one. That's the only one I can think of.
Just dumb, just weird stuff.
But yeah, everybody stays the same. There's not any like rebirth out of the lower tier. And it's like not even that much of a lower tier anymore because there's so much going back and forth between the brands. And so I think it's a really positive change that they've made.
Yeah, it's been interesting too. You know, Becky Lynch went down there and won the women's championship for a while and put Lyra Valkyria over, and now she's gone up to the main roster and is really making a great impression. You know, these guys are. I wasn't too happy about, but you know, they're getting a good rub before they come up, and you know, it's been kind of working out for everybody. And you know, this is going to happen again today with Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson going down. It'll be interesting to see if they end up winning those titles. You know, with AJ getting this push on the main roster, getting an I Quit match now with Cody Rhodes, which should be a lot of fun. That'll be some quality entertainment to say the least. Yeah. But of course, this Jordan Grace Roxanne Perez match is going to be something else. But is it leading to more? And that is a huge question.
Well, that is the struggle. That is the struggle with these cross promotional matches. Is where do you go from here? You know, it is tough to build any story when you don't know the future of the contract situation. The business situation makes it difficult. So, you know, I think that you don't necessarily need a story when you've got you don't need an extended story when you've got a really solid one-shot story. Right. When you've got a compelling selling point for the one match, you don't necessarily need a bigger one. If something comes out of it, great. But I don't think that this match necessarily needs the promise of a 6-month feud coming after it.
Well, the main issue is, and by the way, I'm sure we're going to hopefully get a chance to talk to David Penzer about this, of course, who's going to be joining us in the second hour. Of course, the former ring announcer and kind of do it all for WCW, and of course worked for TNA Impact for a long time as well. I'm sure he's got some thoughts about what's going on with TNA Impact. They had a very interesting situation come up as we're talking about this relationship and with WWE, and they have TNA's got pay-per-view coming up on Friday. If you haven't been paying attention, Against All Odds is on Friday coming out of Chicago. And Jordan Grace has an open challenge on Friday.
That's a busy week.
And it even gets better. But Jordan Grace, we don't know who she's going to be facing off with for the TNA Knockouts Championship. And there's rumor that it will be a WWE wrestler popping in. Cool. So who knows who that could be? Are they going to try and tempt Natty? I don't know. We'll see. But that's an intriguing situation going on for TNA Against All Odds. But TNA is, well, they had some, shall we say, a shakeup in the main office. Just a little bit. And we're going to come back and talk about that. What the hell is going on at TNA? We're going to take a break and take an examination of what's happening backstage with TNA, and then we'll get into more of what's happening in the world of pro wrestling. We've got TNA Against All Odds. We got Clash at the Castle. We got contracts running out. We got people saying they're leaving WWE. All hell's breaking loose. Cats and dogs sleeping together. Reuben Bresler's here. David Penzer coming up. What more do you want? Be back for more on the Mark Hoke Show here on KDAWN.
Listen to the Texas Corners Bible Church every Saturday night at 7 p.m. and Sunday night at 10 p.m. on 101.5 FM.
Understanding the many things in a mother's life affecting her pregnancy is important. You can help improve the health of all mothers and babies in Nevada by completing a Pregnancy Risk Assessment Monitoring System survey about your recent pregnancy. Also known as PRAMS, the survey is from the Nevada Division of Public and Behavioral Health and the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. The survey asks new moms about their experience before, during, and after pregnancy. Responses are confidential and used to help improve the health of mothers and babies in Nevada. If you receive a PRAMS survey, please share your story. Learn more at nvprams.dpbh.nv.gov. That's nvprams.dpbh.nv.gov. This message sponsored by the Nevada Division of Public and Behavioral Health, aired in cooperation with the Nevada Broadcasters Association and this station.
For 30 years, the LGBTQ Center of Nevada has been a safe and welcoming place to celebrate and serve the entire community. The center advocates for the empowerment and safety of everyone. It provides wellness services for better mental, physical, and holistic health. And the center connects people to the community. Learn more at thecenterlv.org. This message is sponsored by a grant through the Sands Corporation, aired in cooperation with the Nevada Broadcasters Association and this station.
Hey there, I'm Healthy Hank, your health hero, here to give you little habits for healthy travels. Whether you're jet setting across the globe or hitting the road for a spontaneous adventure, it's crucial to prioritize health safety every step of the way. Picture this, you're on a road trip making a quick pit stop at a gas station. Before you dive into those irresistible gas station snacks, remember to wash your hands after using the pump. Those pumps can be a breeding ground for germs. And speaking of germs, if you find yourself in a sneezing or coughing fit, be sure to cover up and then disinfect any surfaces you may have touched. We're all in this together, so let's keep those contagious villains at bay. Remember, folks, a simple act like covering your cough or sneeze into your elbow or a tissue can make a world of difference. And if you're feeling a supervillain brewing inside you, do us all a favor and stay home. Together, we can ensure a safe and healthy journey for everyone. Stay safe, and let's conquer those germs together. This message is sponsored by a CDC grant through the Nevada Department of Health and Human Services, aired in cooperation with the Nevada Broadcasters Association and this station.
Centennial Toyota is thrilled to announce the grand opening of their brand new state-of-the-art Toyota dealership in Las Vegas. Come check out Centennial Toyota and see their huge selection of new and pre-owned vehicles.
1015 FM KDAWN.
This is the Mark Hoke Show. The Mark Hoke Show. Here again, your host, Mark Hoke.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the Mark Hoke Show here on KDAWN, the number one pro wrestling show. Well, you know, it's multiverse. We're the best. Reuben Bresler's here, having a cold brew.
That's right.
I do not believe there's not alcohol in that thing, but whatever. I don't believe you.
8 in the morning.
Yeah? And what's your point? You live in LA, man. That's enough reason to drink as is. I mean, come on.
Wild.
It's a little bit of a mess out there. Exactly. So.
You're not wrong.
Exactly. Yep, I know. Anyway, so as we mentioned as we headed into break, TNA is in a little bit of turmoil right now. And you know, after coming off that big show, Hard to Kill, where they sold everything out in, at the Palms, ticket sales were a little bit shaky, for Rebellion here, even though they did a massive media blitz, had Nick Nemeth come in and challenge for the world championship. Well, here's what happened last week, guys. And this is a very, shall we say, intriguing situation, to say the least. So here's what went down. A couple of releases in the main office for Anthem. David Sahadi was let go. He had been a creative director with them for almost 2 decades. He is out. Lou D'Angeli, who was their vice president of marketing and pretty much headed up a lot of the setting up the live events, he is out. He's been there forever. And then R.D. Evans, who had pretty much been the head of their creative for a very long time as well, resigned. So the house has been cleaned at Anthem, and it has really got a lot of people shaken up. They're kind of wondering what the heck is going on. And a lot of the performers are kind of wondering what happened, what's going on here. This is kind of weird that everybody that has been there forever has disappeared. And of course, still a mystery as to what, the firing of Scott D'Amore just a little while right after that big show here in Vegas. I mean, it's pretty crazy what's up with TNA, but then of course you got this relationship with WWE, and many people are speculating that maybe Anthem's looking to sell to WWE, which other than getting the tape library doesn't make a whole heck of a lot of sense. But of course, that's what they did with WCW. They bought it and killed it. Reuben, is TNA in trouble?
I wouldn't say that TNA's in trouble. I think that the writing does appear to be being put on the wall for a sale of TNA. I think that there's been a lot of turnover and turmoil within all of the wrestling promotions in the last 5 years. And it's just a shift in the paradigm of what the business is about. I don't think that they're necessarily going under. I think that they may just be positioning themselves to change ownership, which you see a lot, right? We saw this with WWE when they changed ownership. We saw this with AEW when they changed ownership. So I think that it's not necessarily doom and gloom. It's just, there's something that is about to happen.
Yeah, and it's not like they aren't selling tickets at other places too. They had, Slammiversary's coming up on July 20th, and they announced after 48 hours of ticket sales up there in Montreal, they've sold more tickets for this show than any TNA show in the past 10 years. They have a capacity of over 4,000 seats, and they had to open up more seats than what they had set up for that. So they've got some big ticket sales for that, and they do have these shows that, I got the advisories for their shows coming up in Tampa and Philadelphia, but they do not have anything scheduled until after August. So this is intriguing. I'm wondering what's going on. And, I do wonder, if, let's just speculate for a second that WWE would be buying TNA. How many of the performers would actually survive that? I don't know how many of them WWE would keep, because honestly, a fair amount of them have already been in WWE and WWE released them.
Yeah.
So it would be kind of weird. I mean, could you imagine if Nick Nemeth was there and, got the WWE bought TNA and there he is again? I mean, how weird would that be?
I mean, I don't know if it's that weird. I think that there is a reasonable expectation when you're just in the business in general that, sometimes you switch companies every once in a while. Like, I don't think that's that weird. We've had a number of superstars, start in WWE or come to WWE, leave, and then return. So, I think that it's perfectly reasonable to have both.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see what's really up with this. I don't know. I think maybe everybody's reading into this a little bit too much.
Yeah.
Because of, and a lot of reports are saying that WWE and TNA are kind of taking this really slow, and they're trying to figure out the details on it, because it was funny, a lot of the TNA talent and the WWE talent were like, oh, I want to take you on, Drew McIntyre and Moose were going back and forth a little bit because they've done their thing back when Drew was in TNA, and there's a lot of speculation about some really cool match possibilities, and I'd love to see Josh Alexander walk into a WWE ring. I mean, how much fun would that be to have a walking weapon roll in there and finally get to, get him against a Roman Reigns or something like that, or a Sheamus?
I mean, wrestling fans are more educated and smarter about the other businesses and the other companies now than they've ever been. So if Joe Hendry shows up at Clash at the Castle, people are going to know who he is, right? Like, all of that is a reasonable expectation.
That would be fun.
Yeah,
I would love to see Joe Hendry there.
I mean, I believe in him.
I believe in Joe Hendry too. Did you see what you guys? I don't know if you guys saw on Twitter or X, excuse me, what I did in the Sonic drive-in line. By the way, You can check that out on my X account at Mark Hoke. But yes, Joe Hendry was involved in my 40-minute wait at the Sonic. I did.
Wild.
Yes. So, and I know Joe appreciated that. So, but yeah, Joe in Scotland at Clash at the Castle. Oh, what a moment that would be for him.
He's Scottish, right? Or is
Yes.
he? Yeah.
Yeah.
So that'd be fun.
That would be a lot of fun. So we'll see what happens, but that is pretty intriguing. But I do hope that they, no matter what, that they remain an independent company and things keep going. It's okay to have a relationship, and that's cool, but let's not merge the houses.
Sure.
So keep an eye on that one. But TNA Against All Odds, this is going to be a fun card too. Right now we got Mustafa Ali defending the X Division title against Trent Seven. The System, it's Brian Myers and Eddie Edwards taking on Nick and Ryan Nemeth, which I think that's going to be fun. And I think there's your title change for the night. I think the Nemeth boys are going to walk out with the tag titles. Moose is getting challenged by Broken Matt Hardy. Jordan Grace, who knows who she's wrestling. Steve Macklin and Mike Santana taking on the Rascals. And Trey Miguel's one of those guys that I think would definitely survive if there was some sort of merger there. Because Trey Miguel is awesome. So that should be a fun match too. There's another guy, Mustafa Ali.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if he got pulled back into WWE too?
Yeah. That'd be awesome.
Oh my God. I don't think Triple H would, bury him like Vince did, but yeah. So that's coming up Friday from Cicero Stadium in Chicago. So that's Friday. Then coming up on Saturday is Clash at the Castle as we get ready for that one. Oh my God, this is nuts. And by the way, New Japan had their Dominion card last night too. So a nuts week. Damian Priest, Drew McIntyre for the World Heavyweight Championship. Bayley's against Piper Niven. So she gets a match in front of the home fans. Sami Zayn against Chad Gable. Cody Rhodes, AJ Styles in an I Quit match. They just had Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill defending the tag titles and a triple threat against Alba Fire and Isla Dawn and Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark. What's standing out to you on that one? What are you feeling there, big guy?
In the Stark Baszler match?
Well, just period on that card.
I mean, that's the match that sticks out to me. I think that there are a number of wrestlers that WWE has unfortunately misfired on in the last year. A couple of wrestlers that they have underused, misused, and sort of done bad to. And Shayna Baszler is one of them. I think that it's unfortunate. I wish that they'd used her better. But to my mind, she is the third most underused wrestler or misused wrestler in World Wrestling Entertainment.
Wow.
And the most of the women's division. The only people who have been misused more, in my opinion, are Shinsuke Nakamura and someone who I'm sure we'll talk about in this show.
That would be Ricochet, I'm imagining.
That would be Ricochet.
Yes.
Ricochet is the most misused, in my opinion, wrestler in the company.
Yeah. So Shayna Baszler, they're not going to win that match.
Right.
I mean,
that's what I'm saying.
That's not happening. I mean, because obviously Bianca and Jade are your super team.
Which is crazy to me. Like she has the charisma. I know she doesn't have the Vince look, but that doesn't matter as much anymore. She's a machine. She should be doing what Nia's doing, in my opinion.
Oh, I agree. They killed her when she had that match, the Elimination Chamber match a few years ago, and she destroyed everybody and then lost to Becky.
Yeah.
And it just, and she busted Becky up, and it was just this awesome, she was a bulldozer. And then all of a sudden she lost. And it was because Kevin Dunn didn't think she had a look, and it was stupid. And, so you're right. She's been just kind of toiling around, and they won't get the win against these two, but she and Zoe are a pretty good team.
Yeah.
That's a good pairing. So I've got no problem with those two being together. But that would be a fun feud if you really wanted to put those four together in the ring. That's some serious power in there.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, at this point, I think Shayna could just stay in NXT. Like, if they're not going to use her on the main roster, then she should change. She should make a change, as should Shinsuke, as should Ricochet.
Yeah, boy, and that Ricochet guy, just it's been very interesting that WWE has been letting people run their contracts down.
Mm-hmm.
And Ricochet, if you did not hear, everybody has made the announcement he is not re-signing. His contract's going to be up in a few months, and he said, "I'm done."
Yeah,
and obviously, Will Ospreay, and if you have never seen the Ricochet Will Ospreay sequence that they had in Japan a while back, it is one of the most incredible 10 minutes of pro wrestling you're ever going to see in your life. Is it maybe a little coordinated? Yeah, maybe, but it's phenomenal. Mm-hmm. Absolutely phenomenal. And Will was out there just saying, I'd love to have Ricochet back in my circle. And apparently he's going to do it. So imagine we'll be seeing Ricochet coming into AEW at some point here pretty soon. But Ricochet made that announcement. And, of course, some other free agents. Chad Gable has not re-signed with WWE yet. I can't imagine he's not going to do it, though. Would that be stunning if he didn't? Especially, he's probably going to win the Intercontinental title if as long as he puts his name on the dotted line.
Yeah, I think that Chad Gable is one that they've used correctly. I really liked the heel turn. I think that it makes sense to follow that blueprint. I thought that was a very clever and savvy move to do so early in his career at WWE, even though he was a bit of a babyface. I think that, and he plays it so well. And so he's somebody who I'm really looking forward to. We also haven't had a true heel champion in a while. Not in a while, but, super recently, I wouldn't say. I think that he's poised for a big push, and I'm very excited about that.
Yeah, and but it is very interesting that his contract came up right around this time too. Mm-hmm. And WWE has apparently made him an offer, and AEW apparently wants him, but they're not getting him. There's no way. I mean, well, I guess Tony Khan can write a check, but that's one that I can't see. The Becky Lynch thing, I'd say 95% that Becky is going to re-sign. But man, there's that 5% chance. There's still that 5% chance that Tony could write a check that would be big enough. And when Mercedes already there,
right?
Just kind of wonder.
I mean, I think she might not come back for a while.
Yeah,
a long time, like 3 years.
Yeah, you could see that.
What I mean?
I mean, she did say she wants to take some time off, which makes sense. It definitely makes sense. So, relax, enjoy some time with the family. Seth's getting healthy. Take a breather. There's no hurry. But man, like I said with Stu Myrick last week, there's time for her to breathe, and Tony Khan can write a big check and get her away. And
exactly.
If I'm Tony, that's the one I'm targeting. If I'm going to spend money, that's somebody I'm spending money on. No doubt about it. So, but I think Natty should go too. I think she should go to AEW.
Yeah, I mean, there is a little bit of bloat in the roster of WWE right now. They kind of need a fourth show to be able to put all of this talent in. But we'll see how it shakes out.
Yeah. So very interesting things going on the business side of pro wrestling right now, to say the least. It's been a fascinating week, but yeah, those TNA firings, man, that is crazy. Especially some of the rumors that I heard about why Scott D'Amore was fired. I don't want to tell tales out of school, as I promised, but some wild things happening up there in Canada with the boys in Anthem. So fingers crossed, everybody. Hopefully everything will be fine up there. All right, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about WCW, because we've got David Penzer coming on the show, in just a little bit. And that first episode aired of Who Killed WCW. And who'd have thought that after this topic has been beaten like a dead horse, but you know what? They got everybody interested again and talking, because that's what the Dark Side of the Ring boys do. So we're going to get into that a little bit and a couple of little things hitting the news. And of course, very excited. David Penzer is going to be joining us in hour number 2. And the man who has got a new book coming out, but was at every Nitro and Thunder, every one of them. What the things that man has seen has just got to be incredible. So we're going to look forward to talking to David in hour number 2. So stick around. We got a great edition of the Mark Hoke Show for you as we get ready for NXT Battleground as well. We'll be right back.
Hi, it's Sherry Harris, owner of Life Source Water. Our salt-free systems filter water from every tap in your home, unlike softeners, which add sodium to your water without filtering it. With a Life Source system, there is never any regular maintenance, filters to change, or salt to buy. We build, install, and stand behind every single system, and we always will. Call us at 1-800-WATER-99 or visit lifesourcewater.com.
Taste and feel the difference. Life Source Water Systems.
Warranty limitations apply.
Imagine the next episode features you. Venture hand in hand through scenic red rock landscapes and discover breathtaking exploration. In Kanab, Utah, fall in love with small town charm and let adventure reignite your romance. Find picturesque lodging, take a stroll down Center Street, gaze into surreal vistas, and more as you let imagination go. Go to visitsouthernutah.com to start your adventure.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-789-0374 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-789-0374. That's 800-789-0374. What do you have to lose? Call 800-789-0374. Again, 800-789-0374.
In Nevada, anything that goes into the storm drain goes directly to our local waterways, which can pollute Nevada's lakes and rivers. Nevada is the driest state in the nation, and we must work together to preserve our limited water resources for future generations of Nevadans. Here's some waterway wisdom so you can help do your part this summer. Wash your vehicle at a car wash or on grass or gravel. Avoid sprinkler runoff. Scoop your dog's poop, bag it, and discard it. Collect grass clippings and put them in the trash. And secure and pack out trash when recreating. Keep contaminants out of our storm drains. Use waterway wisdom. And remember, only rain should go into the storm drain. Join us in preserving Nevada's waters for future generations by visiting lovenvwaters.com and following us on social media. This message sponsored by the Nevada Department of Transportation, aired in cooperation with the Nevada Broadcasters Association and this station.
Ready for your next vacation? Not so fast. Before you hit the road, remember these healthy habits to keep yourself and others safe and sanitary. Wash your hands after using the restroom, before eating and after blowing your nose. Sanitize airplane seats and tray tables. Sneeze or cough into a tissue or your elbow. And avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth with unwashed hands. Lastly, make sure you're up to date on all your routine vaccines, including the COVID-19 vaccine. It's also important to get tested when necessary, such as if you develop COVID-19 symptoms before, during, or after travel. If you'll be traveling to visit someone who is at a higher risk of getting very sick from COVID-19, or if you're in a situation with a greater risk of exposure during travel. Pack these tips on your next adventure. And remember, travel safely, Nevadans. This message is sponsored by a CDC grant through the Nevada Department of Health and Human Services, aired in cooperation with the Nevada Broadcasters Association and this station.
1015 FM KDAWN.
You're listening to the #1 professional wrestling radio show in Vegas, The Mark Hoke Show. The Mark Hoke Show. Now, here again is Mark Hoke.
And we are back on the Mark Hoke Show here on KDAWN 101.5 FM, the talk of Las Vegas, streaming on the Odyssey app. Download that app if you haven't. Shame on you. May a goat eat your homework. Or something along those lines. Chew through your mat. I don't know. Eat your singlet. Yeah.
That's a t-shirt. There you go. Eat your singlet. I'm sure we'll sell hundreds.
Yes. But yeah, download that app right now. It's an awesome app. And, and it's really cool because you can rewind all the shows that are on there too. So, God forbid you would actually miss some show that you wanted to listen to. You can go back and listen to it anytime.
There you go.
24 hours. It's really cool. And of course, we're streaming live on YouTube and Facebook, which means get in the chat box and give a reasonable comment or question that I can put on the air.
Right. As
Just
opposed
saying.
to eat your singlet.
Yeah. Well, you can put eat your singlet. I mean, I can read eat your singlet.
I don't want to.
Oh. Man, maybe that should be a new motto for the show. Eat your singlet.
Ugh.
Well, the goat ate my singlet.
A goat ate your singlet?
No, the goat ate your singlet.
The goat?
Yes, there's a goat.
Insert name of whichever wrestler you think is the goat here. But
like Wardlow when he had his gear.
There we go. Wardlow.
That's his excuse. The goat ate my singlet.
Mm-hmm.
We'll work on that. Maybe I should put that on an X and see how it goes. But then I got to trademark it.
I mean, the hell site's dead. So
yeah. Oh my God. What happens on Sunday morning here? But once again, it is an NXT Battleground Sunday. Going to be over at the USC Apex. I will see everybody over there. It should be a great time. Still a few tickets available. Go get those on Access. And it's going to be awesome. Intimate setting, guys, which means you're going to be
what's
really
the seating? What's the capacity?
Not many. I'd have to. Do I have that handy? I don't know if I have the number, but I'm just looking. I mean, it's not more than 1,000 for sure. I mean, it's in there. There's 1, 2, 3, 6 sections there, 3 sections there, another one, 10, 11. It's 11 sections plus a sweet box.
So 1,200. That's not a ton.
It's not a ton, which means you're going to be really close to all your favorites. And think about who else could be roaming around there as well. So you will be able to hang out with some of the top stars of NXT. Plus, think about other people that may be there. Just saying. And you can get those really cool priority passes too. That cost a couple $100 extra, and you can get VIP experiences and all sorts of cool stuff. So get on over there right now. Access.com. AXS. Well, Reuben, they started the fight again. Oh, you would have thought this thing would be settled by now about arguing about the death of WCW.
Oh, sure.
But the Dark Side of the Ring boys and The Rock, of course, had to put himself in this thing.
Sure.
And I guess to a point, there's WWE was partially responsible for the death of WCW. So they're going to be involved in this too. So I suppose putting The Rock into the documentary, especially considering he was paying for it partially, is reasonable. But we're arguing about this again. And I thought it was very interesting, though. This episode featured a lot with Eric Bischoff talking about everything that was going on behind the scenes with him and how he helped, how he built this thing and what was going on with Turner and with Hulk Hogan and it's just weird. But one thing that I'm going to ask Dave about when we talk to him was everybody just seems really pissed off about it when you're talking about it, 20 plus years later. They're mad that WCW is dead. Like everybody. And I don't know if it's just because they're talking about it on camera, so they're dramatizing it up a little bit, but it sure feels like they lost something they shouldn't have lost and they're angry about it.
Sure. I can understand that.
it's very interesting. If you haven't seen this first episode, there's 4 episodes, and I think this is going to get really nasty really quick. But I think there's a million reasons why. I don't think there's a who or two who's. I think there's, I think Bischoff actually did say it best, that it was death by 1,000 swords.
Yeah,
Exactly. You can't blame one person.
Well, it takes so much to go right to make a success. It's no one person's success that WWE became huge. It's no one person's success that others have fallen by the wayside. It's the same with every business. There's no such thing as the one person who makes a business. It is impossible. And so, in some ways, it has been talked to death about WW or WCW. But in other ways, the panacea of time has allowed more people to willingness to come out. More technology is available. We've learned more about, economy and the business and marketing and all those sides of things. So I think that there is still an autopsy to be done with better technology.
Yeah. And I think more and more, when I look at it, it's funny. I feel like, to a point, that it was, while they did a really great job, and what Eric Bischoff did to accomplish what he did was phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
But when you kind of think about it, it was built on a little bit of a shaky foundation with Turner, because there were a lot of people at that company that didn't want pro wrestling on that network.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't want it. And the minute there was a chink in the armor, they're like, let's get this the hell out of here. And, or they fired Eric and everything else. And, and then it just took one slip up here or there, and out the door it went. And they lost their backing from AOL Time Warner, and it just ended up being a big disaster. So, it almost, Bischoff made mistakes. I don't think there's any question about that. But you almost have to give Eric even more credit, knowing what he was fighting against. And, some of that stuff was brought up in the first episode, and I'm sure there's going to be more and more about it as it gets discussed. But, man, it's going to be fun to talk to David Penzer about all that. But I want to keep that more positive than negative. But I'm sure he's going to have reaction to,
of course,
that, seeing that episode and talking about it, because it's
good. It's good to have the conversation here before, if that is the if the temper of the conversation is optimistic and wistful as opposed to adversarial, you definitely want to be more positive. You want to have a lighter tone to the conversation, and so we can have that sort of autopsy conversation now.
Yeah, Dave didn't do it.
Yeah.
Dave was quite the integral part of helping WCW get where it did. And, so many hats that he wore and all the great things that he did. And, of course, that great relationship with Chris Jericho and some of the things that he did with him. And, just a lot of fun that he helped bring to the broadcasts. Even though technically was he just a ring announcer for a while, and then but he did get involved in the backstage stuff as time went on. But the Sitting Ringside Volume 1, that's the name of the book that he wrote, and it's going to be a Volume 2 along with Guy Evans. It had to be fascinating to just get to be almost a voyeur to this whole thing,
Mm-hmm.
and watch this all just go down. And, for the most part, kind of just get to sit back and enjoy the show.
Yeah. I mean, in the history of wrestling since WWE, previously WWF, became the top dog, the international sensation that it is, the closest that it ever came to being unseated was WCW.
Yep.
Including AEW, including ECW, all of the promotions, is now.
Yeah, they had Vince and WWE on the ropes.
Yeah,
they were in trouble for a little while, and it was a pretty incredible run for WCW. And and so much talent went through the doors there too. So we're going to look forward to talking to Dave Penzer about that in the next hour. Should be a great time. So hour 2 coming up. Reuben Bresler is going to stick around, and we'll talk to David Penzer coming up, the author of Sitting Ringside Volume 1, along with Guy Evans. Should be a blast. So stick around, hour 2 of the Mark Hoke Show. And, of course, follow us on X at Mark Hoke Show. And it's just Mark Hoke Show all over the place, wherever you want to look. Subscribe to us on YouTube, by the way. We'd appreciate that, the Mark Hoke Show. We will be right back. Hour 2 coming up here on KDAWN. We'll be right back. Want more of The Mark Hoke Show? Follow us on Twitter at Mark Hoke Show, like us on Facebook at The Mark Hoke Show, and visit markhokeshow.com to keep up with everything happening with the show. And remember to check out all of our archive shows on YouTube at The Mark Hoke Show, and download our podcasts at markhokeshow.podbean.com and all your favorite podcast outlets. So join The Mark Hoke Show family today, and thanks for listening.
Okay, this contract looks good to me. Let me just run it by my lawyer.
Everyone knows that having a good lawyer on hand can be a real game changer, which is why Legal Shield connects you to a vetted law firm in your state for a low monthly fee. Only Legal Shield has been providing this kind of legal peace of mind for over 50 years. Need an experienced set of eyes on that fine print? With Legal Shield, you can say,
let me run it by my lawyer.
Is the dealership giving you a hassle about warranty repairs?
I guess we'll have to talk to our lawyer.
And for that will you've been putting off, you can finally tell your family.
We're good. I had our lawyer take care of it.
Legal Shield isn't AI bots. It's a dedicated group of real lawyers who have your back, no matter what the future brings, all for around the price of those streaming services you don't watch anymore. Sign up at LegalShield.com/radio today. PPLSI does not provide legal representation or advice. See a plan for complete terms.
Hey, you confused about real estate? Sean Hannity here, and I can tell you as an active real estate investor, well, just like the stock market, it can go up one day and down the next. Home values and sales, they fluctuate on a dime. Now, even though I bought and sold homes for years all across this great country, one thing I will always do is partner with a sharp real estate agent that truly studies local and national market trends, that knows the real value of homes, and most importantly, knows how to generate demand regardless of the market. There's only one real estate team I trust if I needed to sell my home. I'm talking about the Brenkus team of Keller Williams Realty, the marketplace. The Brenkus team serves the entire Las Vegas area. In fact, you can get an instant cash offer on your home. Now, real estate doesn't have to be frustrating or scary. Find them online at thebrenkusteam.com. That's BRENKUS team.com.
License number BS 16186. Call for details.
Unsafe sleep conditions cause serious injury and even death to infants. Never sleep with your baby on a sofa, in a chair, or in an adult bed. Protect the baby you love from becoming a tragic statistic. The only safe place for your baby to sleep is alone, on its back, in a crib, and in your room. For more information, visit cribsforkids.org. That's cribsforkids.org. This message is sponsored by the Division of Public and Behavioral Health, aired in cooperation with the Nevada Broadcasters Association and this station.
Our lives aren't like they used to be. They're busier. Early morning Zooms, grabbing coffee to make that in-office meeting, getting to your kid's soccer game on time. Life is different, and so is advertising. To reach any audience, you need your message out there in all media, broadcast to streaming, on screens, and right to the ears of your customers. And that's what we do at Odyssey. Let's build a media campaign that targets the customers you know and want to reach more of, right here in our community. Advertise with Odyssey. Visit ads.odyssey.com.
KMXP HD3 Henderson, K260HCS Las Vegas. Always live on the free Odyssey app. 1015 FM KDAWN.
One final stop for the president in France. I'm Ted Lindner, Fox News. President Biden wrapping up that trip to France to commemorate D-Day and pay tribute to Americans lost in the First World War on French soil. Fox's Gernal Scott with more.
The president visited En Marne American Cemetery northeast of Paris to lay a wreath where nearly 2,300 U.S. soldiers and Marines who fought in World War I are buried. The president said he could not come to Normandy and not stop there to honor what our soldiers did.
America showed up to stop the Germans.
America showed up to make sure that they did not prevail. And America shows up when we need it.
En Marne is the same cemetery that former President Donald Trump did not visit due to rain in 2018. When asked what that should say to voters, President Biden did not comment. Gernal Scott, Fox News.
The Manhattan District Attorney who successfully prosecuted former President Trump will meet House Republicans this summer. Fox's Chanley Painter has more on that.
Alvin Bragg is agreeing to testify before Congress, but it's unlikely to happen before former President Trump is sentenced in July. This comes after Bragg won his case against Trump. The former president was convicted of falsifying records to cover up hush money paid to a porn actor during the 2016 presidential campaign.
House Republicans argue the prosecution of the former president was, quote, an unprecedented abuse of prosecutorial authority. And new data from Yelp revealing Americans are getting tired of tipping. According to the website, mentions of tipping-related phrases in reviews are up, saying they've seen the term tipflation nearly 400% more than the previous year. Yelp says this might be due to customers being more conscious of their tipping due to high inflation. America's listening to Fox News.
Stay on top of the latest forecast with America's Weather Team in the palm of your hands.
Here's the latest from America's Weather Center.
It's Fox weather updates throughout your busy day, every day.
That heat's going to be out there for one more day.
Temperatures being 30 degrees above average.
Put the power of over 100 meteorologists and the worldwide resources of Fox in your hands with the Fox Weather Podcast. Precise, personal, powerful. Subscribe and listen now at foxnewspodcasts.com. Connect to Fox News Audio on the Fox News app. Listen to hear your favorite hosts like Brian Kilmeade, Jimmy Fallon, and Guy Benson standing up for what's right, live and via podcast. Just click listen, then swipe right and hear the latest news updates on your time. And scroll down to hear the latest podcasts from Fox News. And it's even easier to listen in the car with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Get programming alerts and notifications. Fox News Audio is on the Fox News app. The voices America trusts. Download it now.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the #1 professional wrestling radio show in Las Vegas. This is the Mark Hoke Show. The Mark Hoke Show. Going bell to bell with the best in professional wrestling news, entertainment, and lots of Sin City surprises from inside the squared circle. Now, let's get to all the exciting pro wrestling action. And bring on the host. Here is Mark Hoke.
And we are back for hour number 2 of the Mark Hoke Show here on KDAWN 101.5 FM, the talk of Las Vegas. Oh, man, we try to do it right here, and I think we're okay. I'm Mark Hoke. Thanks for being with us. Reuben Bresler sitting in with me today as well, my good amigo from poker days and everything else. Having a great time today. Thanks for joining me, Reuben. Certainly appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
You got it, brother. So we have been bouncing all over the place because it is NXT Battleground Day. Of course, we've got TNA coming up this week. We've got WWE Clash at the Castle this week. I mean, there is just more pro wrestling going on than we can keep track of. It has been a wild time here in Vegas over the past few weeks. And it is going to be something else over at the UFC Apex today. So still a couple of tickets left. Go get them. Access.com. Should be a great time. So looking forward to seeing everybody over there that got your tickets. They actually let me in the building, Reuben. I don't know what they were thinking, but
incredible.
I know.
Unbelievable that they would let you in the building.
Just a horrible decision on WWE's part.
Right.
But thanks WWE for letting me in there. Now, I don't want to waste any more time. I don't, because I have a guest on that I have been looking forward to having on this show for a very, very long time. It's great to have the wrestlers on, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there are people in this industry that have seen it all from very different perspectives. And this guy is one of them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and they're seeing what happened with all of WCW and being such a big part of Impact as well. Just, I can't imagine what the eyes have spotted and been around that this guy has done. Of course, he has a book out, Sitting Ringside, Volume 1. He couldn't put it in one book. He and Guy Evans put this together, and I am thrilled to welcome in just one of the best to ever do it, David Penzer. David, how are you today?
Thank you very much. Did not deserve that, but I appreciate it, and I'm doing okay. Glad to be here.
Oh, you deserve it. Stop. Come on.
I don't think so, but I appreciate it.
Well, you got it. Well, David, first, I just want to let's start at the beginning. It's very interesting how you got into pro wrestling, and there's a lot of people out there that kind of dream about. They see it on TV and they're like, well, how do I sneak my way into the industry? And it's a fascinating tale how you managed to work your way in. How did you do it?
It was, I call it the improbable, impossible journey. I shouldn't have been there. I got lucky, a combination of luck and hard work. And I'm not exactly sure. I was talking to an old friend, Joe Gomez, yesterday, who read the book. He used to wrestle WCW as the Desperado, Joe Gomez. And we were talking about that, how back in 1990, you just didn't go backstage at a WCW show if you weren't a wrestler. I got a pinky toe in the door, and I did the best I could to keep it going. And unfortunately for me, I did, but it shouldn't have happened. It's a crazy tale, which is one of the reasons why, Guy Evans wanted to make this. We're going to originally have a scrapbook, but wanted to make it an autobiography about my life, my journey, because it is a crazy journey. And I don't know what to say. I mean, I just got a lucky break and I made it happen, but it shouldn't have happened.
Yeah. And, we've been going back and forth, getting ready to have you on the show. And I just think about everything that you saw from the beginning of WCW until the end. And I can only imagine some of the crazy stuff that you saw, but also the people that you got to be around. I mean, you being in WCW spanned generations of incredible talent from, some of the great youthful stars. I mean, the beginnings of, or, very early beginnings of guys like Chris Jericho, to being around people like Hulk Hogan and Kevin Sullivan and Roddy Piper. Of course, I know you had a great relationship with Piper and Sullivan and so on. When you think about that, I mean, doesn't that blow you away that you got to be around all these incredible people?
100%. Absolutely. To this day, it does. I'm incredibly blessed, and to get to know my heroes and get to know the heroes of the next generation is an incredible thing. So I spoke to Ric Flair the other day, and I'm like, I just talked to Ric Flair on the phone, and that's not like something that's a major thing for me, but I hung up, and I'm like, this whole journey of doing the autobiography and doing all the media has been very therapeutic. It's made me realize and appreciate to a stronger degree than ever of what I got to be a part of and experience and who I got to know. And it's mind blowing.
Now there's some pretty incredible stuff in the book, and you kept a lot of documents and other memorabilia that showed up in this book that I think would absolutely blow people away when they pick it up. Tell everybody a little example about some of the things that are in here that when they see it, they're going to be like, oh my God, this is incredible.
Well, it's almost the evolution of the format, of the television format, because it starts like in 92. There's a format for a WCW Worldwide show where it's just one page. It's a one pager. Bobby Eaton versus blank, and then the Road Warriors versus blank and blank. And Jody Hamilton, who was in charge of the enhancement talent, who was the reason I was there, he would fill in the blanks of who we thought were the, good people. And maybe you might have like a Tom Zink versus Arn Anderson main event, which was semi-competitive. But And then you get to the last Nitro, which is there. The last Nitro, which I can't believe has never come out, but finally we got it out there. And you got incredible detailed production notes and talent notes and finishes and it's almost how it really is how the sausage is made. You get to see how the sausage is made, and so yeah, it's over 200 pages of internal memos and mostly formats from the 90s and early 2000s. Last Nitro, the night that David Arquette won the world title, is in there, and that was not the original finish. Yeah, you could go to davidpenzer.com. davidpenzerbook.com. There's a bunch of bundles that have been really popular, and like people have been saying, I'm going to take the last Nitro, because you could get a bundle where you actually not only in the book, but you get a printout of the last Nitro format. And people have been saying, I want to go to a WrestleCon or a convention like that, and get Ric Flair and Sting to sign the last match on WCW Nitro by their names on the format and frame it in my office, which actually is a really cool idea. So yeah, I don't know why I saved it, but I found it and it's there, and it's pretty darn cool.
What were some of the surprising things that you learned as you went along? Because obviously you're on the outside looking in, and then all of a sudden you got immersed in this. What shocked you or surprised you the most as you started to learn about the industry?
Oh, good question. I don't know that I have an answer to that. You stumped me, man.
That's my job.
I maybe the egos that emerged when things got good. When we were all struggling to get to try to put 250 people in center stage for a WCW Saturday night taping. There wasn't really, there was always egos, but there wasn't really, you had Lex Luger, full of himself. And nothing against Lex. Lex has done a 180 in his life and become a wonderful person. But when there's money on the line and millions of dollars on the line, like in the late 90s, the worst of people comes out. And I'm not saying I blame them. If I was in their shoes, I'm not saying I wouldn't have done the same thing. But that surprised me certainly. But there was not millions of dollars at stake. When I first started in the business, a good contract was $125,000 a year for WCW. So there wasn't that kind of money on the line. But once the Monday Night Wars exploded, all of a sudden it became, people became millionaires overnight.
When did you feel like things were really exploding in WCW? Because there's, we sometimes like to talk about the point where, things are going to go bad. But where did you guys start to get the feeling like, wow, we're really onto something here and something huge is going to happen?
I would say the first Nitro at the Mall of the Americas. It was an interesting crowd. And when Lex Luger walked out, and he had been at a WWE event the night before, house show in Canada, and a light bulb went off in my head, and I'm like, holy crap, we're not playing around anymore, So I would say that, but also when Scott Hall walked down the steps and grabbed my mic in Macon, Georgia, and declared war. That was like another holy crap light bulb, moment. Like, this is going to be good. So I would say those kind of things. Underrated. Underrated. A lot of people like to talk about Nitro and the highlight moments of that. But I remember when, even before WCW Monday Nitro, when Savage came in, and Flair and Savage was the feud on top of the card. All of a sudden, the houses started like doubling. When I say doubling, it went from like 1,200 people to like 2,400 people or 3,000 people. But that didn't go unnoticed. We felt a wave. So that was sort of the beginning of it. And then we just, exploded from there, as you know.
Yeah, I still remember that night when Luger showed up and was watching on TV. And I saw that and I said, wow, shots fired. Here we go.
Exactly.
I mean, that was just an absolutely incredible evening. And and then when Scott Hall showed up, I mean, it was just such a phenomenal time. And I mean, look, I put on an NWO shirt like everybody else. I was a Hulkamaniac. Reuben, you had a question for Dave Penzer.
Yeah, hey, Reuben Bresler here. It's a pleasure to meet you, David. You've had such a long and storied career in the industry, and WCW was a real watershed moment for professional wrestling. The Monday Night Wars and the rivalry between the two brands. We haven't really seen anything like that since then. ... until recently, until maybe AEW came to pass, although there was ECW in there as well. What about the current era of wrestling and the rivalry that currently exists? Does it make you wistful? Is there anything that reminds you, and is there any major differences now than you recall from those WCW days?
First of all, hey, Reuben, nice to talk to you. It is sort of the next, hot period of professional wrestling since the Monday Night Wars. And, there's so much going on. Even TNA, the little engine that could, is chugging along. But, yeah, I mean, it's a little different now just because, of the world we live in. There's, it used to be that we would have like 7 million people watching, one of our shows. And now if you get 700,000, it's a pretty darn good number because of all the different ways you could stream. And actually the first person who smartened me up to that years before it happened was Jeff Jarrett. He said, he told me a long time ago, decades ago, Penzer, you don't need TV. And I said, what do you mean you don't need TV? He said, there's going to be streaming. That's the next thing. And I said, you're out of your mind. And he was right. But yeah, it's a more difficult race for sure. But yeah, it's fun to watch. Totally different products in my opinion. WWE is more storyline based. AEW is more matchup, dream matches and stuff like that based. And, it just depends on what you like. And, but the one thing that kind of I don't want to say disturbs me. The one thing I hate to see is the polarization of AEW fans versus TNA fans versus WWE fans. I will tell you this. I know for a fact that there's not one person in any company. Now, obviously you want your company to do good. It's a pride thing, but there's not one person in any company that wishes that AEW would go away or, WWE would go away. And you get a lot of that tribalization on social media. And, for a WWE person, look, there's a perfect example, Chad Gable right now. Unless I didn't look at the internet today, but unless it just broke, he's sort of going to be a free agent. And, that's good for him. If there was no AEW, if there was no TNA, then, he'd be re-signed with WWE unless he wanted to take his chance on the indie scene, which is actually, you could make a lot of money right now.
Yeah.
So it's good for everybody, whether he uses those companies as a way to get a better deal with WCW or WWE, or whether he ends up going to another company, he has options, and those options, are profitable. And, so I just wish everybody would love professional wrestling. It shouldn't be, one company versus the other. And I hate this company and I love this company. Look, might not be your cup of tea. I like to say on some of these interviews, Brett Lauderdale, who I consider a friend and a super businessman, one of the underrated business people in the wrestling business. But once you get a light bulb out, you lost me. So it's not something I want to see. So I don't watch it, but I don't wish that he would go out of business. I wish him the best. He's a genius. So just because I don't like something, or you don't like something, or the fans don't like something, doesn't mean that, just don't watch it. Doesn't mean you hate it and you want it to go out of business. Just don't watch it. It's a free country. Yeah. So I'm sorry, I got on my soapbox.
That's all right.
Great.
That's what we like to do around here,
Yeah.
Dave. It's all good.
There you go.
Soap ups it
There
all
you
you
go.
want, brother. You earned it.
There you go.
All right. Well, we have to take a commercial break. And when we come back, we're going to have more with David Penzer. Of course, despite what he says, he is a legend in this business. No question about it. And of course, he's got Sitting Ringside Volume 1 out. And boy, if there's another volume coming, this is going to be something else, man. Of course, you can check it out, davidpenzerbook.com, and it's available on all your favorite outlets to purchase bookage. So get it in your library if you're a pro wrestling fan, because this is something else, and it's a very unique perspective on the world of pro wrestling. And if you want to find out all that stuff that happened at WCW, here's your guy to talk to. So stick around, everybody. We got a whole lot more with David Penzer here on the Mark Hoke Show. So stick around, guys. Having a great time here. We'll be right back.
Listen to the Texas Corners Bible Church every Saturday night at 7 p.m. and Sunday night at 10 p.m. on 101.5 FM.
Teeth are amazing. That's why at Affordable Dentures and Implants, we believe it's time the world sees your smile. With new financing options, you don't need to wait to get your smile back. Our practices in Las Vegas and Henderson are open to serve you. Schedule a free new smile consultation. Call 1-800-DENTURE or visit affordabledentures.com to find a location near you. That's 1-800-DENTURE or visit affordabledentures.com. Affordable Dentures and Implants. Go ahead and smile.
Go ahead and smile.
Hey Nevadans, prescriptions can be expensive. Let the Array RX discount card be your solution. Now available to all Nevada residents. Simply sign up for free. Show your pharmacist your digital card and save money. Receive discounts of up to 80% on certain medications. There are no age or income restrictions, and it only takes a minute to enroll, so you can get back to doing what makes you happy.
This message funded by a grant through the Nevada Department of Health and Human Services, aired in cooperation with the Nevada Broadcasters Association and this station.
You're pregnant, and no matter what you do, no matter what you try, you can't stop using alcohol, drugs, or tobacco. But no matter how lost you are, how far along you are, it's not too late. There's always hope, and there are many safe places that can help you stop using. In Nevada, pregnant women are given the highest priority for substance use treatment. Low-cost treatment options may be available so you and your baby can get healthy now. If you or someone you love is pregnant or thinking about getting pregnant and using alcohol, drugs, or tobacco, visit SoberMomsHealthyBabies.org or call 211 to find help today. SoberMomsHealthyBabies.org also has resources for healthcare providers, friends, and family. If you want to help someone who's pregnant and using, visit SoberMomsHealthyBabies.org or call 211 today. Sponsored by the Nevada Division of Public and Behavioral Health and in cooperation with the Nevada Broadcasters Association and this station.
Hey there, I'm Healthy Hank, your health hero, here to give you little habits for healthy travels. Picture this. You're about to board a plane and you find yourself in a sneezing or coughing fit. This is a potential germ explosion. Utilize tissues as your trusty sidekick against sneezes and coughs, and then disinfect any surfaces you may have touched. And remember, if you're feeling under the weather, be a superhero and stay home. Together, we can ensure a safe and healthy journey for everyone. This message is sponsored by a CDC grant through the Nevada Department of Health and Human Services, aired in cooperation with the Nevada Broadcasters Association and this station.
What better time than right now to make a new start with your finances? Mark Cordner of Golden Years Financial can tell you how. Tune in Saturdays at noon for Golden Years, a roadmap to navigate retirement, right here on 101.5.
101.5 FM KDAWN.
This is the Mark Hoke Show.
The Mark Hoke Show.
Here again, your host, Mark Hoke.
And let's return to the Mark Hoke Show. Wait, that's my show, I guess.
That is your
I'm
show.
in charge. So I guess I kind of have to do this thing, huh?
You're
Come
the
on, Reuben.
You're the captain now.
All right. I'm just having fun, everybody. Thanks for being with us. Top rated show here, live show on KDAWN. I can't say top rated because Hannity kind of takes that away from me. But otherwise, we're all good. What am I going to do? But having a blast here, the best in pro wrestling news and entertainment, and very happy to be on the phone with David Penzer, who's got his book Sitting Ringside Volume 1, and it is a very unique perspective on pro wrestling from, of course, obviously did the announcing for WCW and Impact as well, and other jobs with WCW as along the way. And very happy to have David on the show. David, thank you for being with us. Certainly appreciate it.
Sure, man. Hey, love him or hate him, it's hard to compete with Sean Hannity.
It is. It's a little tough. But yeah. But
You do okay.
I'm better looking than Sean, but
There
he'd probably fight me on that. Now, Kevin Sullivan wrote the foreword in your book, and I really think that Kevin is a guy that just does not get the credit in the history of pro wrestling that he should. I mean, I remember the days when I first started picking up pro wrestling magazines and seeing pictures of Kevin down in Florida, doing his gig with the snake and the makeup and the whole mystic thing. And I was like, oh my God, this guy is the scariest man on the planet. And then Home Team Sports in Maryland picked up on my cable network, and I got to see the Florida Championship Wrestling. And from there I was like, oh my God, this Sullivan guy, whoa. And it just never stopped. And it's just funny that Kevin is so underrated. Could you tell everybody a little bit about Kevin Sullivan and just what you think his place should be in pro wrestling history?
Yeah, he's one of the smartest people I've ever met. And if you read the book, he taught me so much, including life lessons that I live by today, and I taught my kids. But he's so smart in a lot of different ways, not just the wrestling business. And he was the creative behind a lot of what you saw. Eric made the signings. Kevin certainly didn't sign Hall and Nash or Lex Luger, but Kevin was the guy who took the ball and ran with it. And really, without Kevin Sullivan, I don't think you'd see a heel Hulk Hogan in a million years. And so yeah, he's just. I remember growing up in championship wrestling from Florida and watching the Devil, as they called it, and I don't know if you're allowed to say that these days, but I just did, I guess. But yeah, and then there's a very underrated angle that most people haven't seen. It was at the very, very end of championship wrestling from Florida before it went out of business, where he started coming out of the fog. And it was one of the most entertaining things I think I've ever seen in professional wrestling. And Kevin forgot about it. And I found one interview and I sent it to him. This is years ago, probably 10, 15 years ago. And he was like, oh yeah, I remember that. And it was the finish was he was supposed to team with Dusty Rhodes, but that didn't work out. And he ended up teaming with Blackjack Mulligan. So Blackjack took that spot. But against Dory Funk Jr. and Humperdinck, and yeah, he was coming out of a fog. He literally, it was like didn't know where he was, and the promos were fantastic. Some of the most, if you could find it out there, and you like that kind of stuff, I would beg you to see it. And yeah, just a smart guy all around, so kind to me in so many different ways. It's almost like it was meant to be, because the first live wrestling show I ever went to, Kevin Sullivan was in the semi-main event. So, we've been on this journey together since I was 11 years old, and he's been a guide and a great friend, and love the guy.
Yeah. Go ahead, Reuben.
Hey, Reuben Bresler again. I had a question about, the way you got started. It sounds like a movie. It sounds like a TV script. Is the way that you got started in the wrestling industry just kind of just walking in like you already belonged? Is that possible anymore in our world of, more security, more eyeballs, the democratization of social media? Or how would you recommend somebody get involved in the industry in the capacity that you got involved in becoming a manager or a ring announcer or somebody backstage?
It's a little different now, but how you carry yourself is still important. Like I said earlier, I talked to Joe Gomez, an old wrestling friend from WCW yesterday, and we were talking about that. He was talking about how, I don't know. I didn't consciously come up with my attitude, but I'm glad that unconsciously thought of it, because if I'd have gone to that first WCW show, brought up enhancement talent, and went around shaking everybody's hand and, you know, taking pictures and asking for autographs, I'd have been gone. You know, never, you know, this story, we wouldn't be talking right now. And something in me, and I don't know what it was like, you know, act like you've been there before, even though I hadn't. Even though inside I'm marking out, holy crap, there's the Four Horsemen, holy crap, you know, the Rock and Roll Express. But you know, but I didn't. I kept it internal, and I still think that goes a long way. You know, if you get an opportunity to go in a locker room and there's a hero or somebody that you grew up watching who's headlining the show, yeah, you know. If you're new, you know, hey, yeah, I didn't even introduce myself to those people for many different shows. I just stayed with my little group of guys that I brought up from Florida, and you know, eventually they would come to me. I think Tracy Smothers was the first one, and said, you know, after, you know, probably 2 months or something, coming up every week, he would say, you know, what are you doing here? And he wasn't being mean. He was like, he was curious, and you know, and then eventually, you know, the guys became friendlier, and I think they respected the fact that I wanted to have an in and love the business, and wasn't, you know, going around asking for autographs and stuff like that. Not to put myself over, but it was a different mindset. And you know, if you read in the book, eventually Junkyard Dog named me Walking Man, and people back, you know, from that day, you know, if I see them at a convention, they say, "Hey, Walking Man, how you doing?" So yeah, it's just if you act, you know, just act like you've been there before. You know, I know that the inner marking people want to, like, you know, be fawning and trust me, I was inside, but on the outside, I acted like I freaking didn't. I didn't care. Yep. I was just here and I belong, like you said, and yeah, that's the lesson that you could still use.
My sister has a saying: to be like a duck, calm on the surface but furiously paddling underneath. So keep that straight face, be a fan. You want to be a fan of the people that you work with. And the other thing that applies to you and applies to everything else is be so good they can't ignore you. So it's just great to talk to you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, we thought about calling the book Stooge of the Year, because when I first, you know, when I first went to WCW, as you can read about in the book, you know, my thing was, what can I do to be helpful without being a mark, without geeking out? You know, so Jim Ross would ask me to, you know, hey, could you get the guys and bring them to the interview room, you know, which was a different room than the dressing room. And so I'd run guys for him. And eventually, you know, I walked around with a sign-in sheet that every wrestler had to sign in order to get paid, which ironically enough was the sheet that had like a whole bunch of little tiny writing typed words on top of it, which is why to this day nobody could sue WWE and say, you know, you have to pay me more money for putting me on Peacock or the WWE Network, because it said, you know, you had to sign it to get paid, and it basically said, you know, we could use this for the rest of your life and our lives in eternity, and don't have to pay you a dime. But so yeah, so you know, that was what, you know, you had to get to sign. You had to sign that to get paid, and you know, and then I did a bunch of other stuff, and then I rang the bell, and you know, eventually, you know, just, you know, stooging around. And there's a fine line between stooging and kissing ass, and I'm not saying I never crossed it, but I tried to stay on the other side of the kissing ass part.
Wow, that is absolutely incredible. And, you know, I can imagine putting this book together, because like I said, I know there's another one that's going to be coming out. You know, the memories coming back to you must have just been phenomenal when you're trying to figure out what you're going to be putting in here and seeing all these papers and thinking back to, you know, everything that happened to you. I can't imagine what that must have been like compiling all this.
Well, it was therapeutic. Like I said, I was in therapy. I've been in therapy, like, you know, for the last 6-8 months. You know, it was easy for me. You know, I just basically, you know, me and Guy would talk about an hour and a half a day, and he'd ask me questions. He'd tape the conversation. He'd ask me questions, and I'd answer them, and you know, tell my stories and stuff like that. And then it's funny. I like to tell people I didn't get didn't see what he had written of my story until late in the game. And he decided, we needed to go through each chapter and, take out things I wasn't comfortable with, or change things that weren't factual that he might have gotten wrong. But he sent me every night, he sent me a chapter. And I remember like reading chapter 3, and I looked at my wife sitting on the other side of the couch in her spot. And I said, this is my story, and I can't wait to see what happens next. I can't wait for chapter 4. So he did an incredible job. He's incredibly talented, incredibly smart. And, it's just a continued blessing that I've somehow gotten that I don't even know that I deserve in the wrestling business, that I had, 30 years to live my dream. And now I get Guy Evans to write my books. And, I'm incredibly lucky and grateful.
Yeah. And it is going to be, I think everybody that's a wrestling fan needs to check this out. It is something special. And like I said, very unique perspective for everybody to take a look at. And, Dave, I know you got to get rolling, but it is just an honor for me to get to talk to you. I've always respected guys, the ring announcers, and, guys like Howard Finkel and so on, that, the childhood heroes for me, guys like you guys that did what you did. And man, I could sit here and talk to you all day, but like I said, I know you got time limitation, but the book is Sitting Ringside by David Penzer with Guy Evans. You can go davidpenzerbook.com and pick this thing up and check it out. And you pro wrestling fans, go get a copy of it right now. And you're going to hear a million stories and see some things that you're not going to see in any other book. And you will be glad you did. And David, I want to thank you so much for coming on the show. We really do appreciate it.
Oh, I had a great time. This quote unquote legend has to go do an open house, which real estate business will keep you humble. So head there and sit there and wait for people to hopefully show up, and so I could show them around. And that's you got to keep on rolling. One book doesn't define your life. You got to keep on recreating yourself. So, but yeah, anybody who would read the book, if you could leave a review on Amazon, it's been an incredibly humbling and experience. And Jericho, I have talked to Jericho last week, and he loved the book. And Charles Robinson loved the book, and there's Cody Deaner. There's just been so many people that have been along on my journey that have read it and really liked it. So that means a lot. It means a lot that the fans love it, and I just want to thank them, everybody who's been a part of this journey, from inside the gate around the ring to outside the gate around the ring. I couldn't have done this on my own, and I appreciate you, Mark, and having me on, and Reuben as well.
Absolutely. Well, we'll have to do this again sometime, David, because I'd love to talk more. This is like I said, I could do this all day. So
yeah, there's a lot more that we could certainly chat about. Like I said, got to go do an open house. So if you're in Florida and you want to come say hello, I'm in Raintree Village.
There you go. Or hop online, look him up. Go buy a house here in Vegas.
That's right.
If you want to move, go to Florida. Look up David Penzer.
There you go.
Dave, thank you so much. We do appreciate it. Thanks for coming on the Mark Hoke Show. We'll talk again soon, my friend.
Yes, sir. Definitely. We'll do it again.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks a lot. There you go, everybody. David Penzer. How about that?
Amazing.
I mean,
it's like going to a museum.
And the cool thing about being in the position that a guy like him is in is, he didn't have to worry so much about, I've got to obviously there were times where he had to perform or be part of things and so on. But generally, he's not having to work out matches. He's not having to, worry about a massive contract, or am I going to lose a spot on the card or anything like that. For the most part, he got to sit back and enjoy the show. You know what I mean? Obviously he has asked to do things, and he did get involved in booking and some creative and stuff like that. But generally, he was an observer, and what a position that had to be in WCW,
Mm-hmm.
And then, man, we didn't even get to ask him about the episode.
Yeah.
But some other time we'll do that. But let's have a little fun and keep it positive for him for once.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure he's getting bombarded with that kind of stuff all the time.
But also there's another book to come out, and
Yeah.
there's the second half of the story. So there's a lot more to uncover here.
Yeah, it's like I said, those are sometimes those stories are the most fascinating ones to delve into, to say the least. So I want to thank David for coming on the show. Once again, the book is Sitting Ringside. It's volume 1 by David Penzer with Guy Evans. And Guy was on part of that Who Killed WCW first episode. And of course, he's got a very extensive book about WCW as well. Guy's a very well-spoken dude and a great writer. So you might want to check that book, Nitro book that he's got out if you want to dig into that as well. So maybe I got to get Guy on the show too. Follow up with him. That'd be fun. But we're going to take our last break because there's more to come on the Mark Hoke Show. I don't know how we follow that up, but we're going to try. As we get ready for NXT Battleground, I'm going to have to, get myself looking good, see if I can stand next to Shawn Michaels and not look like a total fat slob. But stick around, everybody. We got a whole lot more on the Mark Hoke Show, best in pro wrestling news and entertainment on KDAWN. We'll be right back.
If you need to sell your house,
talk to Aaron Taylor.
You want to sell it fast and get the most cash, talk to Aaron Taylor,
the real estate guy.
Aaron Taylor, the real estate guy here. Do you know we're not just real estate experts? We're an advertising and marketing powerhouse specializing in selling residential and commercial properties.
And we're just getting started. We offer 3 incredible solutions for our sellers to maximize their profits.
First, we provide a cash advance with no interest. Need money now? We got you covered.
Second, we handle all repairs and improvements up front to ensure you get the most money possible for your home.
And third, you decide the commission you pay, as low as $1. Plus, we'll even buy your home for cash if that's what you need.
Don't just take our word for it. Check out our hundreds of glowing reviews on Google or at therealestateguyLV.com.
Call 702-310-MOVE. That's 702-310-6683.
eXp Realty, license number 38886. Call for details.
talk to Aaron Taylor,
The real estate guy.
I'm Mark, local owner of Big O Tires in Las Vegas. We're having the tire sale of all tire sales. Buy 2, get 2 free. Wow, you heard that right. For a limited time, get 2 free tires when you buy 2. Valid on select tires with purchase of alignment and tire protection package. And don't forget Big O for brakes, oil changes, AC service, even your car's factory scheduled maintenance and more. We're open 7 days a week, including Sundays for our community's convenience. We always have a spot open for you. Buy 2 tires, get 2 free now at Big O Tires, the team you trust. For your nearest store, visit bigotires.com.
Hey, Nevadans, prescriptions can be expensive. Let the Array RX discount card be your solution. Now available to all Nevada residents. Simply sign up for free, show your pharmacist your digital card, and save money. Receive discounts of up to 80% on certain medications. There are no age or income restrictions, and it only takes a minute to enroll. Visit ArrayRxCard.com to learn more and sign up today.
This message funded by a grant through the Nevada Department of Health and Human Services, aired in cooperation with the Nevada Broadcasters Association and this station.
Understanding the many things in a mother's life affecting her pregnancy is important. You can help improve the health of all mothers and babies in Nevada by completing a pregnancy risk assessment monitoring system survey about your recent pregnancy. Also known as PRAMS, the survey is from the Nevada Division of Public and Behavioral Health and the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. The survey asks new moms about their experience before, during, and after pregnancy. Responses are confidential and used to help improve the health of mothers and babies in Nevada. If you receive a PRAMS survey, please share your story. Learn more at nvprams.dpbh.nv.gov. That's nvprams.dpbh.nv.gov. This message sponsored by the Nevada Division of Public and Behavioral Health, aired in cooperation with the Nevada Broadcasters Association and this station.
Hey there, I'm Healthy Hank, your health hero, here to give you little habits for healthy travels. Whether you're jet setting across the globe or hitting the road for a spontaneous adventure, it's crucial to prioritize health safety every step of the way. Picture this, you're on a road trip making a quick pit stop at a gas station. Before you dive into those irresistible gas station snacks, remember to wash your hands after using the pump. Those pumps can be a breeding ground for germs. And speaking of germs, if you find yourself in a sneezing or coughing fit, be sure to cover up and then disinfect any surfaces you may have touched. We're all in this together, so let's keep those contagious villains at bay. Remember, folks, a simple act like covering your cough or sneeze into your elbow or a tissue can make a world of difference. And if you're feeling a supervillain brewing inside you, do us all a favor and stay home. Together, we can ensure a safe and healthy journey for everyone. Stay safe, and let's conquer those germs together. This message is sponsored by a CDC grant through the Nevada Department of Health and Human Services, aired in cooperation with the Nevada Broadcasters Association and this station.
1015 FM KDAWN.
You're listening to the #1 professional wrestling radio show in Vegas, The Mark Hoke Show. The Mark Hoke Show. Now, here again is Mark Hoke.
Let's do this one more time, shall we? The best in pro wrestling news and entertainment. Vegas Valley, Southwest, U.S., planet, universe, multiverse, whatever it is, we got it covered. I'm Mark Hoke. Thanks for being with us. Reuben Bresler sitting in with me today. You didn't want to do any dancing, though. You just, that cold brew just didn't pep you up enough.
Well, it's got to marinate. The coffee's got to percolate a little bit inside.
No, see, you gotta need a Jolt Cola or something like that to go with it, or a giant energy drink.
Yeah, all of the sugar and twice the caffeine. That's not my style.
That's well, maybe you should try it sometime. But anyway, Reuben Bresler, everybody. You know, Reuben, you're a comedian. You should know that you gotta just give the token chuckle every once in a while.
Yeah, I was muted.
Wow,
that's all that was.
Oh my God. Anyway, we're having a great time. I want to thank David Penzer for coming on the show. Pick up that book. Once again, Sitting Ringside Volume 1. Check that out. Sounds like it's you need to put that in your pro wrestling library. A lot of fun. So, but that is interesting that, he was talking about trying not to mark out. It's hard. It's
tough.
hard.
It's tough to not fanboy. Most of the jobs I've held in my life, I've been fortunate enough to be among people who are more successful and famous than I. And that's, sort of the job of being an interviewer, being a reporter, being a writer that you and I both share, and being a host of a radio show. It's hard, but you got to maintain the professionalism. Even if you don't think you should be there, you got to pretend you should be there. And I think we did okay. I think we did okay on this one.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very interesting when you get someone, especially someone that you've been a fan of your whole life. Just about I had Kevin Von Erich on. I mean, that was
right.
Oh my God,
for sure.
And he still made me cry. He did. I admit it.
That was a great interview. I hope that people should go back and listen to that interview.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah. A lot of fun talking to Shawn Michaels. I mean, it is pretty crazy when you get a chance to do this. And, one thing that I always, and I don't want to get too deep in the weeds, I got a couple other stories to talk to, but, one thing that I try to think of when I'm doing this is, I'm representing the people that are listening to the show and the fans. So, I want to try and do a good job and, not just sit here and sound like a blah, 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 blah. But, you want to try and talk to them like, you would think that the people out there would want to talk to them too.
Right.
So it's important to do a good job and not sound like a blithering idiot. So
absolutely.
There you go. I had an interesting little comment from Tony Khan. I don't know if you saw him on Twitter the other day, where Tony, and it was just funny that after I had discussed about having maybe leaving some money on the table and not reaching out to kids and families. And I don't know if he was necessarily saying this. I think it was more with his matchmaking than anything else. But his quote was on Twitter that he books for the sickos. He books wrestling for the sickos.
Sure.
That's right. I book wrestling for the sickos because that's what I am and that's who I care about. And he does like to book some dream matches and some crazy matches, which is cool.
Right. I think that it's a very different style of wrestling show than WWE, which is a soap opera. They make storylines. They use art direction and cinematography and build these stories and build set pieces and create long dramas. And AEW has that, but prioritizes the single art form. Right, it prioritizes the dream matches, the 5-star matches, and I think that there's room for both.
Yeah, absolutely. And I agree with that. The one thing I get concerned about sometimes, and I brought this up, and I'm curious to hear what you thought about this real quick, is just the amount of blood in some of the matches,
Yeah.
the overuse of it. Sometimes you're setting Jack Perry on fire, you're hanging Darby Allin upside down for 10 minutes, and that can be a concern. And if
Sure.
you're wondering why you're maybe losing a little bit of an audience. No, you're not the families aren't bringing the kids to the show.
Sure.
Maybe you're not selling as much merchandise as you could be.
Well, yeah,
So,
I mean, it's what do you want to prioritize, right? Like, if we are, and it's also an evolution of the sport, we are leaving the PG era of WWE, so there is room there for another PG family-friendly wrestling show. Is that going to be AEW? Unlikely.
No.
Right?
No.
So, you have to pick your spots. You have to choose your lanes. And Tony Khan is going to stay who Tony Khan is, and he's going to continue to do the things that Tony Khan wants to do. So I don't think that is where he sees his bread being buttered. By the same token, I agree. I think that it does turn some people off.
Yeah. And look, I have enjoyed matches over the years that have gotten nasty. Like I said, I'm a Magnum TA, Tully Blanchard, I Quit guy till the day I die. That's one of the greatest matches I've ever seen. The Bret Hart Steve Austin match that just turned into a bloody mask mess. That worked. There's times to use it in pro wrestling. I mean, if you're going to get in a knockdown, drag out fight, somebody's going to get busted open. That's the way it works. And that's the criticism I've had at WWE, that they don't use it at all.
Sure.
There's a medium. There's a medium there. So just thought I'd throw that out to you and see what you thought.
Yeah, I think you're right that there is room for another Saturday morning wrestling kind of show, where it's more family friendly and it has more cartoony elements. But that is just kind of the ebb and flow of storytelling overall. Like, we see different movies now than we've seen 20 years ago, than we saw 50 years ago. We see different wrestling now than we saw 20 years ago, than we saw 50 years ago. So, I think that it'll ebb and flow and it'll grow and change. And the thing is, it's just never going to be Tony Khan. Like, that's not what he wants to make.
Yeah. So interesting comments from Tony. By the way, speaking of cartoony, this story just hit a little while ago, and I caught this. Drew McIntyre had the worst day of his life a little while ago.
How so?
According to what he said. Remember Clash at the Castle last year, where he ended up in the ring singing with Tyson Fury after he lost?
I don't.
Because he lost, and they ended up doing the little singing thing with Tyson after the match, where the fans were kind of having a good time, but he was not happy because obviously he had been defeated by Roman Reigns,
right,
in front of his home fans, and he was pretty ticked off about it. And he had said, we got to make it right this time, because me and my family, the UK, can't take another shot through the heart like what happened last time. It will collapse the UK. Let's see. He said it was, if not the worst moment of his life. I was so happy getting Clash in the Wales and getting the first stadium show since SummerSlam 92. Wasn't happy getting screwed, and the worst moment of my life, singing that stupid song afterward.
Wow.
Ouch.
Brutal.
And you know what? I think he might be right. That was terrible. So that's going to be an interesting main event. Does Drew win? Is Drew the world champ after this is all over? We don't have much time.
I think it is a significantly higher likelihood that he's the world champion facing Damian Priest or anyone that isn't Roman Reigns. Literally, like, even if he was, Cody Rhodes, Damian Priest, like, pick anyone that isn't Roman Reigns while under the previous administration also.
Yeah, I think some of it's going to depend. Well, no, I think he's going to win. And I have a feeling we're going to get McIntyre and Punk should be healed up by the time SummerSlam comes around. So we may get that match.
Yeah.
But that would be fun. And good luck to Drew. I hope he gets a nice
Agreed.
win in front of the hometown fans. So should be fun. Hey, guys, we'll see you over at NXT Battleground for those of you who are coming. Those of you that are watching on Peacock, maybe I'll see you there too. So keep your eyes peeled. Reuben Bresler, I want to thank you for sitting in today. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. It's always a good time.
You got it. Dave Penzer joined us. Thank you. Certainly appreciate him being on the show as well. Guys, we'll see you next week on the Mark Hoke Show. Obviously, there's going to be a lot to talk about with 3 major events this week. Oh, man. Going to be a busy show. So we appreciate all of you tuning in, and we will see you next time. Follow us on X at Mark Hoke Show, Facebook, The Mark Hoke Show. Subscribe to us on YouTube at The Mark Hoke Show, and just markhokeshow.com. You got the point. We'll see you next time, everybody. Have a great day, Las Vegas. Want more of The Mark Hoke Show? Follow us on Twitter at Mark Hoke Show, like us on Facebook at The Mark Hoke Show, and visit markhokeshow.com to keep up with everything happening with the show. And remember to check out all of our archive shows on YouTube at The Mark Hoke Show, and download our podcasts at markhokeshow.podbean.com and all your favorite podcast outlets. So join the Mark Hoke Show family today, and thanks for listening.
In Nevada, anything that goes